Good day. It's Brenda Abdilla. We're here together to talk about how to activate your network and accelerate your career. So some of you are just jumping on. You should see a screen if you are viewing today. If you can't view today, don't worry about it. It will be on YouTube, as well as most of the slides are just very simple terms, and I will describe them. So if you're just listening and driving, hopefully not too much multitasking, then you should be absolutely fine today. Just a little housekeeping. I always try to keep these well under 30 minutes, even more like the 22 to 25 minute mark. And the reason for that is so that you don't have to multitask, so that you can just listen and have a little mindset shift and then get back to whatever you were doing. Laura Bean from One Stop Ops is behind the scenes. I could never do this without Laura, and I want to thank her. But also, I'm letting you know that so you can chat with her if you're having issues, and I don't see any of that. And also, she wanted you to know that if you're having trouble hearing me, that you should just change browsers. So if you're in Chrome, go to Explorer. A few people had issues with that last time, and our sound actually, we've improved it, hopefully, but hopefully everybody can hear it. Okay, so we're gonna get started. You also have a poll. If you haven't answered the polling question, please do that now, and we'll talk about that in our little workshop together. So most of you are here for one of three reasons. One is that you're in search of a new career and you have this pressure feeling of, oh my God, I need a network, I need to network, I need to go out there and network and get out there. That's what I hear from my clients, and it's one of the primary reasons that I scheduled this webinar. Number two is that you're in an established career and you're actually not considering a big change, but you're kind of bored. Or maybe you don't have a network because you didn't ever really realize that you needed one. Maybe you've had your head down for the last 15 years and you don't really have a network outside of your most common circle. And then the third reason is my favorite, and that's that you're interested in sort of insurance for your future, that you want a slightly different future, or you want to have a little more control over it, or you can kind of see the writing on the wall. You know, whenever we have a good economy like we are having, there are lots of mergers and acquisitions, and that creates a lot of change in the marketplace. And so that may be making you feel a little bit insecure about your career or insecure about your future. And that's an excellent reason to focus a little bit on your network. So I just want to be clear that networking is not about business development. And some of this, if you are interested, if you have a company or you have a product that you're selling B2B, this may be of use to you. But that networking is really not about business development. And I share that with you because I learned that the hard way. In 2012, I decided to commit my coaching practice 100% to coaching and not do recruitment anymore and not do consulting anymore. The problem was that I had no network in the Denver market. 100% of my income and 100% of my network professionally was from outside of Colorado and lots outside of the United States. So I thought to myself, well, I'm very outgoing. I have a huge network outside of Colorado. Certainly in 6 months, I could develop a local network. Well, that is not how it works. First of all, I did not enjoy trying to kind of meet people to get leads. It's not how I want to use my time, and it didn't work anyway. So a little later in the broadcast, I'll tell you about the group that I joined that helped me. It may or may not be appropriate for you, but I learned a ton from this group. And essentially what I learned is that just like anything of value, building a network takes time, and it shouldn't be something that you don't like doing. If you don't like doing it, if you're hating it and it's not working, you're probably on the wrong track anyway. So hopefully that's relieving for you. So networking, it's more about the concept of building a network versus being out there networking. I think most of us get a rash, even those of us that are quite extroverted like myself, get a rash when you think about having to go to some random place and meet random people and somehow make that into something. That's just uncomfortable sounding, and it's sort of old school networking. But back when that was effective, our circles were much smaller. We didn't have social media. We didn't have the giant conferences that we do now. And so it's very important that you think in the mindset really of not just networking, but developing a network. And that takes a little more time. Okay, so I don't know if you had a chance to answer the poll questions. I'm just going to read the questions for the people that do not have visual today. So which self-description does not belong in your networking toolkit? You are impeccable in your work. You are really picky about how you spend your time. You are aggressive in your follow-up strategy. You have a brief description of what you do at the ready, and you are subtle in your approach. So which one does not belong? I think Laura is going to pipe in here and tell us what your answers were.
Well, we did get some responses, and what we have is you're subtle in your approach is the answer.
Okay. So most people thought, thank you, Laura. Most people thought that you are subtle in your approach is what does not belong. Well, I think subtlety is a really important part of networking. And what doesn't belong is being aggressive in your follow-up strategy. So I am not the only one who agrees that networking has changed. Michael Goldberg wrote a column for the Huffington Post, and I quote him when I say, he wrote, "If you focus on generating more business or looking to land a job for that matter, you don't want to be the guy trolling the room selling life insurance, or the woman flirting with every man she meets, or the accountant standing alone near the coffee, or the multi-level marketer looking to recruit everyone they meet." If you think about it, you know, we all find it pretty repulsive to be approached by somebody who wants something from us, who doesn't want to hear us or know what we're doing, or who, you know, we meet and give a business card to, and we're sorry that we gave them our card because they aggressively follow up with us. So to kind of shift your thinking, Ted Rubin talks about networking as being a people curator. He wrote an article in the Small Business Forum, and he says, spend a little time actively looking for a few people you can connect and make that introduction. You never know what the fruit of these referrals will bear down the road. Some will go nowhere, while others will result in life-changing relationships. But I promise the social karma you'll receive from these efforts will lead to a positive return on relationships. So hopefully we can dispose of the whole aggressive, be hungry, get after it mentality when it comes to networking. I always think about networking kind of like networking is to your career what dating is to the possibility of marriage. So obviously you have to date if you want to find your life partner. But if every single date you are completely, utterly focused on whether or not this person is going to be your life partner, that is going to be repellent. And so it's the same with networking. You really want to take a much more, pardon me, a much more subtle and relaxed approach to it. Okay, so let's get down to it a little bit more now. You, if you are viewing today, you have a diagram, and I know you're going to see this diagram and think, oh, I want that. I need to print that screen. But don't worry, after the webinar, you will be able to download this as well as a little worksheet so that you can write out some of the assignments that I'm going to give you. So I want you to look, the reason I created this diagram is so that we can realize sort of what is a primary focus of building a network and what is not as important. And also so that we can realize that we all have a network. You already have a network. When I was flipping out in Denver trying to meet a whole bunch of strangers, I completely forgot that I already have a network. I had people that are my closest friends and family and my trusted few. I'm just going to take a little sip. Try and get rid of this frog in my throat. Okay, so in the center of a circle, if you can see it, the blue, your closest friends and family and trusted few. So these are people that would give you money. These are people that love and care about you. When you get the worksheet after the webinar, I want you to write those people out. Most of us have maybe 5 on average, 10 if you're really, really fortunate. These are people, I have a big family, so mine might be more like 15, 20. But these are your people. And sometimes we, excuse me, I'm so sorry about the frog in my throat. I wrote an article about not clearing your throat too loudly, and ever since then, I've been clearing my throat a lot. Anyway, we tend to segment our lives, but your closest friends and trusted few can do more for your career and your network than you can imagine if you just relax and realize what you have instead of frenetically trying to develop a network. Okay, so we'll come back to that. Number 2, in the green, in the next outer circle, we have, and it's green means go. This is where you want to spend time and really develop if you don't already have. Current and former colleagues who know and like me. Think about every place that you've worked and people that you've really enjoyed and who get you and who enjoy you. They are part of your network. Should you ever need to activate that network, they can be one of the first people you go to. Associations and groups where you belong. We'll talk more about that on the next slide. People of influence who know you, or who you know that might not be in your actual circle. So I'll give you an example. It's kind of a combination of the blue and the green, inner circle and middle circle. So when I was starting my coaching practice and really entering into it full time, I was sort of lamenting to my friend Melanie, who is in my blue circle. And she knows somebody who is an epic, famous, way, way big, famous coach. And she put me in touch with him. Now, this isn't because I wrote to her on LinkedIn and asked her to introduce me to somebody that I don't already know, that she doesn't want to, do. It was out of the kindness of her heart. It's because she loves me that she made that introduction. And the person gave me a free hour of his time, which was incredibly gracious. And that conversation made a huge difference for me. It made a huge leap for me. So make sure you list the people that you know that are of influence in a certain area or realm where you want to be. And the idea here is just to make the list, because it will make you realize that you have more of a market, you have more of a network than you think. It's just that you may not have been activating it. You may not be sort of caring for it. Current colleagues who are connectors are also in that green. So sometimes you may be connected with somebody that is what we call, or Malcolm Gladwell calls, the super connector. This is a person who just loves to connect people to each other. And if you have lunch with this person, or you have a person like this in your network, you will come away with ideas and thoughts, potentially leads. And so take a pen and paper, but make a list of your connectors, because even though they may not be connected in the specific realm where you live and work, they can reach across. And many of our most powerful networking advocates actually don't work in the same space that we work. So then the yellow is yellow with caution, and that's Facebook and other social media, LinkedIn, networking groups. And by networking groups, I mean like business leads groups, which are fine. There's nothing wrong with a leads group. And actually what's nice about a leads group is that you're kind of out of the closet. Everybody's there to get business. I personally don't like to spend my time that way, but like I said, at least it's out of the closet. Where the reason that I mention it in the yellow is if it's unappealing to you and you're not currently doing it, don't feel like that's the next step. You'd be much better developing the green, which we're going to talk about in the next slide. Don't bother with former colleagues that you don't like. Not of use. So if you think about Facebook and other social media, LinkedIn contacts, networking groups, former colleagues that don't like you, clubs or other groups, maybe hobby groups, or your neighbors from where you live, which of those, this is not a poll question, this is just a question to answer for yourself. Which of those do you think is more powerful for your network? The answer is your neighbors. You know, it's a personal, hopefully you have a good relationship with your neighbors, but it can be a personal connection. And I can't tell you how much, you know, good fortune has come to me because I love my neighbors and we have good relationships, and that naturally turns to business. It's just a natural flow. Okay, so now let's get down to you specifically. So if you want to expand your network, especially for the purpose of insurance for your career and even generating more business, what should you do? Well, one is a local business group specific to your current career. It's funny because you might think, well, why would I want to be around other coaches or other lawyers or other CPAs? Because we're all after the same business. If that's what you think, you want to really shift that mindset. In International Coach Federation, for example, is a national chapter that I belong to, and I go to the local meetings. I cannot tell you how much good has come from that. Not only direct business, absolutely, because when you go to that meeting, that CPA that you meet may do a different kind of accounting work than you do, and you will get the business if you're worthy of that connection. The same thing with me and ICF. I get resources, ideas, encouragement, and also by the side effect of being there, I get business. National conferences or associations related to your career. So don't wait for your company to pay for you to go. And don't go and just troll the trade show floor. That is so old school. Please don't do that. Pay for at least a day, if not for the entire conference. You're worth it. You're worth the investment. And go to the sessions. Sit next to people. Be present. Don't be on your phone the entire time. Be focused. Be present and meet the people around you. Meet the speaker. Be into the information, which is a really important thing. If your national conference or association, if it's in an industry that you've grown to hate, then don't spend your money on that. But if you're just sort of bored, or you've never had the pleasure of going to a conference and learning and attending specific sessions, absolutely treat yourself to that. It can be absolutely life-changing. A mastermind group or local association chapter. I have been self-employed for the better part of 24 years, and I have always belonged to some kind of mastermind group or another. So I alluded earlier in the call to the group that I belong to is called the 3 to 5 Club, and it's run by Chuck Blakeman, and he is my mentor. And 3 to 5 Club is for business owners who want a mature business in 3 to 5 years. And that's where I really learned so much about not being a gross, icky networker. But as it comes to you, it could be a Vistage group is a form of a mastermind group. It's essentially where people are like-minded. They may or may not be in the same business, and they come together to grow. You could also look for it in your local chamber. And before I go on any further, I want to say that I'm not encouraging you to do like 5 things. I'm encouraging you to do like 2, commit to 1 or 2 groups. So I belong to ICF currently, and I belong to my 3 to 5 Club. And so if I considered a different group, I would have to drop one of those groups because I'm too busy working. And then if you add the next item, which is attend a conference that appeals to your intellectual curiosity. If you've never had the experience of sitting in a room where the speaker is brilliant and is talking about something that just makes your brain light up, then this is something that you owe yourself. And the benefits of that can impact your career indirectly in so many important ways. So I've listed a link there, but you can just write it down and Google it later. It's www.themuse.com, 50 best conferences to attend this year. He has listed a ton of really cool conferences, several of which I would love to attend. But if you don't find anything on that list, for me, the best bet is to go to a TED conference. You can go to the big TED conference, which you have to apply to, or you can go to your local TED conference. I mean, brilliant all day, just fantastically brilliant. Take some people on your team. You could actually double it as a networking event. You can take a few clients with you. It's just, you just can't go wrong with a TED conference, in my opinion and in my experience. And then the last one are specialty groups. And that could be Rotary or a special group of salespeople or CEOs or women or men. And this is where you come together because you have that one element in common, but you are there to grow and to develop your network. Absolutely. So we're getting close to the end here. I have 4 keys to effective networking to share with you. And 1 is to be impeccable in your work. 2 is to choose networks that you're drawn to. Choose something that sounds interesting, because otherwise at the end of the day or the end of the week, you're going to be tired from working and you're not going to feel like going. And so if it's something of interest to you, you're more likely to actually go. Be yourself. I always say be the showered up, toothbrushed, nice breath part of yourself, but be completely yourself. You shouldn't have to tie yourself into knots and become something that you are not in order to network. That's the wrong group if you do feel that. And then give, don't get. So I want to tell a great, my favorite networking story about activating your network. When I was writing my book, a career book for moms, I interviewed a woman who is an engineer. Her husband's also an engineer, and she was pregnant at the time and found out late in her pregnancy that her child had some serious issues and was going to need many surgeries. So she and her husband discussed it, and she decided to go and work part-time. She approached her company, which she had a lot of credibility. She'd been there 10 or 12 years, and they said, sure, you can go part-time after your maternity leave. So she has her baby, he has lots of surgeries, and her 3 months maternity leave is up, and it's a Friday, and she's due to go back to work on Monday. She's got childcare set up, she's got nurses, she's all set. Her HR department calls on Friday morning and said, you have to come back full-time or not at all. And so she completely panicked, but she reached out to her network. And by Monday morning, she had a new role at a new organization for the same amount of money as an engineer. And she could tell her employer, no thanks. So that is the purpose. That is the power of activating your network. So also using the engineer as an example, now let's say that in 6 months, she needed to do it again. Would she have as much effectiveness? No. She was able to activate her network because she was impeccable in her reputation already, and because she did not go to that well ever before. She saved her network in case she absolutely needed it, and all the time before that, she nurtured it. Let's say even 6 months after that, now she gets into multi-level and decides to tap her network for that. That network is going to dwindle, and that investment that she made is going to dwindle. So that's an important thing to keep in mind, especially around the whole give, don't get. So let's just talk just for a minute about the use of LinkedIn and social media. LinkedIn is fantastic. It is the most elaborate, connected form of a contact base, I think, that is present. It's amazing. It should absolutely be part of your business. It should absolutely be part of your networking. What I'm not too excited about is the whole belief that you should be asking people in your network to introduce you to people that you don't already know via LinkedIn. I think if you don't have a personal enough connection with the person on LinkedIn, then you shouldn't be asking them for favors. So actually, I would take the reverse of that. Spend your time on social media being a resource. For example, on my LinkedIn, I really try to put free articles up. I try to promote other experts and their resources. If I go to a speech, I'll take a picture of the speaker and give them a little promo on my professional Facebook or on LinkedIn. If I do a speech for a company, I promote them on LinkedIn. There is no company that's too large to be interested in a social media thumbs up. And so you should absolutely have a LinkedIn profile. It should be updated, but really think more about the give, don't get as far as LinkedIn is concerned. Now, from a business to business point of view, it's better than cold calling, to randomly reach out to people that you can find in your LinkedIn. I think that's fine. But as far as developing a meaningful network, I think you really want to be more giving on LinkedIn. For example, when is the last time you did a reference letter for somebody on LinkedIn, for a vendor or a client or a prospect even? So that might be something that you think about as far as social media is concerned. And then my second to the last slide is don't be a troll. So, and this is true about all social media. It's true about conferences. It's true about when you show up at a cocktail event, that you really don't want to be out trolling for business. And also protect yourself. Don't feel that you have to spend more than a moment with somebody who is behaving like a troll. Life is too short. So the last thing I want to talk to you about is that you do actually have to kind of know how to say what you do in order to network. It is excruciating to talk with people who go on and on and on about what they do, or who stammer and statter and just aren't really prepared. It is something that is going to come up. What do you do is going to happen. So it doesn't have to be a commercial. For example, I say, I'm a professional career coach. I specialize in working with people in high-level careers who are thinking about making a change, but terrified to do so. Done. That's as long as I ever get with my descriptions. Do I do other things? Absolutely. I do like 5 other things, but it's not appropriate for a 1-second introduction. And of course, once you have your little description of what you do down pat, you really want to have some good questions. What do you do? What did you do this weekend? What do you do for fun? Make it a personal connection. It makes things so much easier. Ask people, why are they here? How long have they been doing what they're doing? How did they get into it? Those things are much more interesting and compelling. Okay, that brings us right up to our time. And you are now registered for the Coaching Minute. I hope you enjoy that. If you are local and you live in Denver, we have a workshop coming up, Mission, Vision, Action, next week. It's my favorite workshop to teach. And after this session is over, you will get a download for the handout. And you can also, if you are thinking about making a career change, there's a free quiz on my website that you can take. Thank you all very much. I hope this was useful to you, and I look forward to getting your feedback. Have a great day.